A lot of House Republicans, your colleagues, the people you lead, have real issues with Matt Gaetz as somebody to lead the U.S. Justice Department. I'm sure you've heard them, because I've heard them.
Speaker of the House Mike Johnson showed up on Jake Tapper's CNN show, State of the Union, and Tapper did what Tapper does. Tried to trap Mike Johnson into a no-win situation. How could you support Mike Gaetz? I know you've got other Republicans who are trying to destroy Matt Gaetz. Don't you hate Matt Gaetz? Admit that you hate Matt Gaetz. This is what Tapper does. It's tedious, it's boring, and he only does it to Republicans. And, well, it didn't go well because Mike Johnson's smart, and he's good, and he's even-keeled, and he's ready.
A lot of House Republicans, your colleagues, the people you lead, have real issues with Matt Gaetz as somebody to lead the U.S. Justice Department. I'm sure you've heard them, because I've heard them.
This is what I'll say about the nominees that the president has put forward, is that they are persons who will shake up the status quo. And I think what the American people have believe and what they've delivered with the mandate in this election is a demand that we shake up the status quo. It's not working for the American people. So use the term in the opening about how these are disruptors. They are. I think that's by design. Any president has the right to name their own cabinet, to nominate persons that they think will fulfill their agenda. And the people that are on this list will do that. They will go into the agencies that they're being asked to lead, and they will reform them. These agencies need reform. And I think the vast majority of the American people understand that. You can't have status quo appointments in a moment like this. I'm really excited about the days ahead. I think the America First policies will deliver for the American people. I think we're going to have a warm embrace of all the new folks who came into the Republican Party in this election cycle, the demographic shifts that we saw that were historic, because we have a chance now to demonstrate for them that our policies, our conservative constitutional policies, common sense policies, are best for them as individuals and families and communities and states and the nation as a whole. So exciting days ahead. It is a new day in America. These individuals will help deliver that. And I think the Senate needs to do its job and get them appointed so that the President Donald J. Trump and J.D. Vance can begin that administration and run with it on day one.
So I like when Mike Johnson does this because he doesn't really give a crap what Jake Tapper thinks of him. Too many Republican politicians go on to Jake Tapper's show and they want to impress Jake Tapper. I'm not like one of those Republicans, Jake. I'm one of the good ones. I'm one of the smart ones, right? Please let me into your club. Jake Tapper is a hack. Jake Tapper is an activist. Jake Tapper is a malicious operator behind the scenes, the way he tried to destroy Donald Trump with the lies and innuendo of the Russian collusion hoax. And he still stands by it. In fact, coming up, we'll show you one of the chief architects of the Russian collusion hoax that Jake Tapper had on the show. And we'll show you how he treats that guy a little differently than he treated Mike Johnson. But the key here is how Tapper frames the question at the beginning. Watch.
A lot of House Republicans, your colleagues, the people you lead, have real issues with Matt Gaetz as somebody to lead the U.S. Justice Department. I'm sure you've heard them, because I've heard them.
That's the key. They're talking to me. Your Republicans who you lead, they don't like him. So how can you support him? First of all, by the way, the House of Representatives has absolutely no say in who the Attorney General will be. That's the Senate that has to deal with that. So why even take up this issue with Johnson? And I'll tell you why. Because Tapper wants to air this laundry. Yeah, there are people who don't like Matt Gaetz because he challenged and defeated Kevin McCarthy, the Speaker of the House, in the last session of Congress. That's why they don't like Matt Gaetz, but it has nothing to do with whether he should lead the Justice Department or not. And of course, the question has to go back to Jake Tapper. Has he ever discussed with the current Attorney General or with any Democrat in the House or the Senate the problems with Merrick Garland as Attorney General? Merrick Garland has had peaceful Catholics who were praying the rosary in front of Planned Parenthood clinics prosecuted and arrested, with the FBI raiding their homes in the middle of the wee hours of the morning. Merrick Garland's FBI has investigated traditional Catholics going to the traditional Latin Mass as potential domestic terrorists. They've investigated parents going to school board meetings as potential domestic terrorists. He gave the green light to the Mar-a-Lago raid. They tried to cover up the Hunter Biden story and offer a plea deal that would have kept Hunter Biden from being prosecuted from any significant crimes. And Merrick Garland and the Justice Department and the FBI and the intelligence community lied about the Hunter Biden laptop story that we know to be a complete and total legitimate piece of evidence in an ongoing, extensive criminal investigation. So isn't there a problem with the Justice Department? Why hasn't Jake Tapper ever asked that question? He never has. I've never heard him ask it. But, Matt Gaetz, there was an investigation into him doing some pretty tawdry things with a girl and doing drugs. Oh, really? And did the Justice Department ever press charges? No charges were pressed. So why do you know about that investigation? Is it standard operating procedure, Jake, for the Justice Department to investigate a sitting congressman, not press charges, but leak anonymously to the media that they were investigating something that they never had evidence to actually bring charges against the person for? That's a hell of an abuse of power. But no. The problem in the Justice Department is Matt Gaetz becoming Attorney General. Something tells me Jake Tapper's priorities are a little skewed. Thankfully, though, John Fetterman was also on the show. Yeah, that's right, John Fetterman. And he had a little dose of reality for his Democrat colleagues.
Senator, always good to see you. You have said that Democrats shouldn't be, quote, freaking out over every single thing Trump does. Are you freaking out at all about any of these cabinet picks, I wonder?
Well, I mean, there's some that I would absolutely be excited to vote for, like my colleague from Florida or the representative from New York, of course. And then there's others that are just absolute trolls, just like Gaetz and those things. And that's why, Democrats, like Trump, that gets the kind of thing. I mean, he gets the kind of thing that he wanted, like the freak out and all of those things. And he hasn't even been, it's still not even Thanksgiving yet. And if we're having meltdowns, every tweet or every appointment and all those things, I mean, it's going to be 4 years. And just the last time I was on your network, I was warning about the jackpot. And I use that metaphor of the slot machine, the 777. And if Trump wins, then it's likely that's going to happen. He's going to get the House. We're going to have the Senate and the presidency, and the real jackpot is the Supreme Court. And that's been very clear that that's a strong conservative slant. So they can run the table right now. And at least for the next 2 years, those are the things, if you really want to be concerned about that they have the absolute ability to run the table, at least for the next 2 years. And that's what I think we should all be concerned on, not small tweets or random kinds of appointments.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Actually, most people could have said it better themselves, but you get the point. John Fetterman, even with his brain damage, is the smartest of all the Democrats on Capitol Hill, especially compared to, the competition, like Adam Schiff. That's right. Jake Tapper wringing his hands about Matt Gaetz and the destruction of the Justice Department and the FBI, and this is such a black eye on DOJ, and this is going to cast aspersions onto the Justice Department. What will we do with Matt Gaetz, Attorney General? I know. Let's ask Adam Schiff about it. Adam Schiff, a man who sat at that table for 4 years consistently lying about Donald Trump, maintaining to Jake Tapper that he had seen the evidence that there was Russian collusion, and it was just a mountain of evidence that Donald Trump should be impeached, if not prosecuted, for crimes against this country by colluding with a foreign government to steal a presidential election. And now he's welcomed back with open arms. And listen to how Jake Tapper challenges him on this issue. Watch Jake Tapper, the last real journalist in Washington, doing his job.
Obviously, he is bringing a group of people to disrupt. I mean, that is what Speaker Johnson said. And I'm wondering about how much anybody in Washington is being introspective at all about why there is this kind of opening for disruptors, if not necessarily these individuals. You were censured in the House last year for, in their view, holding positions of power during the Trump presidency as chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. And according to them, quote, abusing this trust by saying there was evidence of collusion between Trump's campaign and Russia. And I wonder if you are feeling at all introspective at all.
I wonder if you're feeling introspective. According to them, you misrepresented that there was. See, now normal journalists, including Jake Tapper, if it's a Republican sitting across from him, normal journalists would have said, Senator Schiff, Senator-elect Schiff, last time you were on this program, you were in the House of Representatives, and you maintained to me and to my audience that there was a mountain of evidence showing that Donald Trump had colluded with the Russian government. Robert Mueller had an unlimited budget. He spent over $50 million investigating the president for 2 years, and he did not bring any charges, anything like it. So why did you lie to us? Why did you use your power and your position and your stature to lie? Because you were on the Intel committee, and every time you said you saw things, we'd say, well, can we see it? No, I can't. It's top secret. It's classified. Boy, that's a really nifty little trick there, Mr. Schiff. But instead, Jake Tapper's question is, well, according to them, you misrepresented. Of course, I won't make a judgment one way or the other, because when I'm interviewing a Democrat, I have to check my brain at the door. And besides, you and I have a thing going on here. You gave me a lot of off-the-record anonymous leaks and info, and I was able to use that for my news program, and we won some awards. And I'm hoping you'll be able to do that for me now for the next 6 years when you're in the Senate. So I'm not going to push too hard, because that's how Jake Tapper operates, because that's how reporters in D.C. operate. So instead, he asked the question, I wonder if you've been introspective at all about any of this. Wow, Jake, what a man.
About that was, according to the Mueller report and according to your Republican colleagues, an overstatement. And I wonder if you think in any way you help set the table for these disruptors.
First of all, it wasn't an overstatement. There is evidence of collusion. The Trump campaign manager was meeting with Russian intelligence and giving them internal polling data, just to give you one example.
By the way, the fact that that's the one example, I'm sorry, but that little item there, the Trump campaign manager gave polling numbers to somebody in Russia. First of all, is that a crime, Mr. Schiff? Would have been a great follow-up. I'm sorry, because was he charged with that? Did Mr. Mueller bring charges against him for that? The answer is no. Not only is it not a crime, but no charges were ever filed. But the fact that that's the only thing Adam Schiff can say, after how many years did he go up there? All of the things that are in the Steele dossier, that this man read the Steele dossier into the congressional record so that it could be part of the congressional record, the Steele dossier, which is fraudulent, and it was paid for by the Hillary Clinton campaign. And now here comes this big moment to push back to Jake Tapper and say, oh, no. Well, there was Russian collusion. Here's Exhibit A. And it's the campaign manager shared polling data with somebody in Russia, which was never prosecuted because it's not a crime. But of course, in Adam Schiff's world, he wouldn't want anyone to be able to share any information because he wants to be the minister of truth in our government. But I just wanted to call out that moment, because that's supposed to be a moment where people who are undiscerning and don't know the facts here will be watching CNN and say, wow, I guess there really was something to this Russian collusion thing. It would have been a great moment for Jake Tapper to say, but that's not a crime, is it? You said there was a crime. What was the crime? All right, sorry. I get animated. This is how I watch TV, by the way. Imagine sitting on a Sunday morning with me on the sofa, drinking coffee in my PJs. Naval Academy PJs, by the way. Roll goats.
And the Mueller report sets all this out.
It does say, quote, the investigation did not establish that members of the Trump campaign conspired or coordinated with the Russian government in its election interference activities, which doesn't mean that he didn't, that there weren't meetings, but they didn't find evidence.
Mueller says that too. He says the fact that we didn't find proof beyond a reasonable doubt doesn't mean there wasn't evidence of conspiracy or coordination. So, but look, that's not.
Actually, here in the United States of America, that's exactly what that means. The fact that I was a special prosecutor with unlimited power and unlimited funds, and I found no evidence of Russian collusion or conspiracy, literally means that there was no collusion or conspiracy. Here in America, here in innocent until proven guilty land, here in due process land, here in jury of my peers land, but in Adam Schiff and Jake Tapper's world, oh, that's enough. Guilty. These people are pathetic. Absolutely pathetic and enraging and horrific. And they're never going to change. They're never going to change. The only thing that will get them to change is for the guy on the right to lose an election because people stopped voting for him and the guy on the left to lose his television show and his millions because people stop watching him. Now, unless you live in California, the former is going to be a challenge. But the latter, well, you could start today. Let's all do it together. Let's all stop watching Jake Tapper. For those of us holding our breath for the past several months, we can exhale. Work can finally be done on the major issues this country is facing. One of the most significant is our national debt. Fact is, our nation is broke, and that debt is a house of cards that can't quickly be dismantled. So the strategy remains the same. Diversify your savings. A lot of things are out of your control, even out of Trump's control. It's important to have a safe haven for your savings. Control what you can control, your money. Birch Gold Group, they can help you. They'll help you convert an IRA or 401k that you already have into an IRA in physical gold. And the best news is, it doesn't cost you a penny out of pocket. Text Larry to 989898. Get a free info kit on gold. And right now, through Black Friday, you'll receive a free 1-ounce Silver Eagle for every $5,000 purchase. That's cool. Diversify your savings with Birch Gold. Text Larry, Larry, to 989898. Claim your eligibility for free silver today.